The U.S. government is over $34 trillion in debt. American households owe another $17 trillion in mortgages, credit cards, student loans, and car payments. But here's what no one's asking. When the government is broke, and the people are too, who bails out who? While Washington runs trillion-dollar deficits, average Americans are struggling to afford groceries, rent, and a $500 emergency. So the big question is, are we all broke together? Or is this the calm before an economic storm no one's ready for? Stick around, because in this video, we'll unravel the full story behind America's debt addiction, how it happened, who's really paying the price, and what it means when both the system and the people are out of credit. Debt is everywhere. Debt used to be a temporary bridge, something you paid off. Today, it's a permanent pillar of American life. From Capitol Hill to your kitchen counter, borrowing has become a survival tactic. Government debt, student loans, buy now, pay later apps. Even groceries can be financed now. And yet, the economy hasn't collapsed. Not yet. Why not? Because debt is more than just a burden. It's the fuel that keeps the machine running. But here's what almost no one talks about. What happens when the fuel catches fire? And what if it already has? What drives debt in America? Before we compare national and household debt, we have to understand what's behind them. For the U.S. government, the drivers are baked into the system, spending more than it earns every single year, interest on old debt growing faster than the economy, entitlements ballooning with an aging population, wars, tax cuts, and emergencies that never end. For households, the pain is personal. Stagnant wages, skyrocketing costs for housing, healthcare, childcare, inflation that eats savings, and cultural pressure to spend instead of save. Different pressures, same destination. Mountains of debt and no clear path down. But here's where things get tangled. Because the deeper we dig, the more it becomes clear that these debts don't just run in parallel, they feed off each other. Uncle Sam's bill, the U.S. national debt is split in two. Public debt, borrowed from investors, countries, and everyday Americans. Intragovernmental holdings, borrowed from Social Security and other programs. As of 2025, we're above 34 trillion, with 1 trillion added every 100 days. The Congressional Budget Office calls it unsustainable. But here's the quiet truth. The U.S. doesn't plan to pay this back. It just refinances endlessly. Interest payments are set to outpace defense spending. Then Medicare. Soon, we'll be paying more just to service old debt than to fund the present. And that's not even the worst part. We'll get to that. Main Street and debt. Now let's zoom in from Capitol Hill to your kitchen. American households are carrying $17.5 trillion in debt. Mortgages, credit cards, student loans, auto loans, but wages haven't kept up. Prices have soared, and rising interest rates, they've weaponized past purchases. Today, the average household pays over 10% of income just on interest. And here's the deeper question. What if debt is the very thing keeping us from ever getting ahead? Cheap money, expensive consequences. For decades, America ran on cheap money, low interest rates, easy credit, swipe now, worry later. Then COVID hit. The government injected $6 trillion. The Fed printed money. Spending surged. Debt exploded. Prices skyrocketed. Now interest rates are rising. But it's too late. We're trying to land a plane that was never built to fly this high, with no fuel and no landing gear. How these debts feed each other, here's the loop no one's talking about. When the government borrows too much, interest rates rise, inflation eats your paycheck, taxes increase, or programs get cut. When households borrow too much, the economy slows. Government has to step in with bailouts or stimulus. More borrowing follows. It's a self-feeding spiral, and both ends are burning at once. Is government debt the same? At first glance, national and household debt seem alike, but the difference is power. You repay your debt or lose your home. The government rolls it over or prints money. But here's the trap. Printing only works if people still trust the dollar, and trust is fragile. Lose that and you lose global dominance fast. We'll show you how that collapse starts in just a moment. What happens when it all breaks? When people can't pay? Defaults, evictions, bankruptcy. When governments can't pay, downgrades, inflation, currency collapse. But when both go under, you don't get a downturn, you get crisis. Greece, Argentina, Lebanon. What happens when the world's reserve currency enters that list? We may be about to find out the real strategy. If we can't pay it off and can't default, then what? We inflate it away, quietly, gradually, intentionally. But if that inflation spirals, we don't get a soft melt, we get a blaze. The psychology of debt. Why do we keep borrowing? Debt isn't just numbers. It's emotional, it's cultural, it's psychological. 1. The illusion of affordability. Monthly payments feel manageable. The total debt doesn't. 2. Lifestyle pressure. We don't want to feel left behind, so we finance the illusion of success. 3. Financial illiteracy. Most Americans can't explain compound interest, and that's by design. 4. Emotional spending. We buy things to feel better, not because we can afford them. 5. Government incentives. From tax breaks to stimulus checks, we're rewarded for debt, not savings. Now ask yourself, is this just poor planning or the logical outcome of the system we've built? Is there a way out? So, are we all broke together? Maybe not yet, but our fates are deeply connected. If Washington keeps borrowing without reform, and if households keep financing a lifestyle they can't afford, eventually the math wins and the rest of us lose. The way out? Smarter fiscal policy, financial education that sticks, systems that reward stability, not just spending. Because right now, we're not just sharing an economy, we're sharing a slow-motion crash. And unless we change direction fast, we might not get another chance to pull up. If this video opened your eyes, hit like, share it with someone who needs to hear this. Subscribe to EconoFocus for more sharp, clear breakdowns of the forces shaping your money and your future. And drop a comment. What scares you more, your own debt or your country's? Because the more we understand it, the better chance we have of escaping it together.